Are you looking for better health but feel a little overwhelmed with it all, thinking there might be something missing? Maybe you're looking for action steps to take that get to the real root of the issue and actually move the needle in your health. Here on the Cornerstone Integrative Healing Podcast, we will share the link between our physical, emotional, and spiritual health, all while pointing you to the one and only true healer, Jesus. I'm Kari, Coody, your co-host. As a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner, I spent 20 years in the traditional healthcare world, and it was definitely long enough to know there's a huge need for preventative healthcare and holistic healing. I'm excited to have conversations around these topics with my co-host and friend, Jenn.
Hey, I'm Jenn Patriarca. God gave me this desire to help others with natural healing a long time ago. With more than 20 years of experience in the functional nutrition field, God decided it was time to join forces. Kari and I are colleagues turned faithful partners in this mission God has put on our hearts. A mission for true healing, one that encompasses an integrative approach. With Jesus taking the lead, our aim is to point you toward Him as we help you peel back the layers. Through conversations, you can expect straightforward information on holistic health topics that include physical, emotional, and spiritual action steps that will create real change in your health, and honest conversations around the ups and downs that can come with healing. It's time to have joy in your life again and the energy to do all that God has called you to. Be sure to subscribe for new episodes every Monday. Hey guys, welcome back. And we are on our series, Healing Stories. Today we have Kendra Everett with us. We're so excited for her to share our story. Kendra came to us with autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's. And of course, she was looking for some direction with the Hashimoto's. She was doing a great job, by the way, when she came to us. She's a foodie, a really great cook, and she'll talk more about that in a little bit. But we wanted to bring her on to kind of share her story, because even though she came with more of a physical focus, God had other plans, right, Kendra?
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Do you want to just tell everybody just a little about your story and how you came to us?
Sure. So I really appreciate the chance, though, Jenn and Kari. You guys have been the biggest help to me in unexpected ways, like you said. But really, I met Jenn and Kari at She Works His Way retreat last year, and just instantly bonded with them because I do love all things food and natural healing things. And I had been working for several years on, like they said, thyroid issues that had kind of turned into Hashimoto's after my fifth baby is kind of when we, or maybe it was a fourth, somewhere in there, my numbers kept fluctuating and it looked like Hashimoto's. And the doctor was like, we'll just give you more meds. And I didn't really want that. I had already been kind of thinking I'd like to go more natural ways, but having been pregnant and breastfeeding for like 15 years roughly in there, they just told me I shouldn't make the switch, certainly not when I was pregnant or breastfeeding. And so I just kind of had been on the same path. But then when it looked like things were getting worse and they wanted to up my meds, and then I was like, I'm not going to do that. And so I really looked at some other ways, which were lifestyle changes and a lot of food changes. And so it was just more nutrient dense foods, like whole foods, having to take some things out, which I don't love, but, I've added a lot back in. So that's been temporary to a degree. So anyway, it's just that model is more like sick care to me, like taking care of, and sometimes it's necessary, but for me, I wanted to try something different first. And so more of a real healthcare approach. So anyway, when I found Jenn and Kari last year, they really just have enhanced what I was doing. I had gotten to the point where my antibodies, which showed Hashimoto's that were elevated, they came down when I changed my food ways and my lifestyle habits, like focusing on sleep and getting outside for morning light and just doing things that felt good. I had made some progress, but when I saw Jenn and Kari last year, I was at another stage of just being really depleted and constantly catching my kids' sicknesses and just not tired, low energy, just not knowing what it was. And so they really helped me through tests and just all the knowledge they have figure out what my specific needs were and target them with minerals and other foods that were good for me. And then even more than that, though, which we'll get into, is just the emotional and spiritual side of things. And that's like, God has used food because I love it. And then Hashimoto's as kind of the impetus for me to work on things more, to just kind of draw me into the underlying reasons I think that were causing me to be sick.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I want to back up for 1 second because I think, a lot of people, they find it, once they are diagnosed with an autoimmune, they don't know that they can actually use food to stop the progression and slow it down. I just want to dig more into that a little bit. I know it's the physical piece and the crux of your story is in the emotional and physical, but I want to talk about this piece because it's a big piece for you and you did a really good job with it. Can you just talk kind of what you did with your food when you were diagnosed with the Hashis?
Sure. So it's like a gradual journey for me. So after kind of through each of my pregnancy, I started to do a little better with my thyroid and knowing that I could sense that certain things were making me have issues. Like, for example, a couple examples, like dairy. I'm prone to have asthma too. And so when I would have dairy, I could just tell that I would get stuffy right away after. Or
Sure.
let's say like regular sugar for a time. I could tell that I just felt really low energy. Or if I was around my kids' germs, for example, like I would just catch things so much quicker if I had those couple things. So over time, I had been kind of weeding a few things out. And so then when Hashimoto's, I knew it worked. I did know that food changes worked. But when with Hashimoto's, I just started to kind of Google and I found a couple online courses about what you could do with food changes. And I took those and I really loved them. And so specifically, it would be things like that I had never thought I would do, like nutrient dense foods, like fermented foods. Okay, that's an example, like sauerkraut. So I started making it at home because I saw that, and I like to do things at home. So it was okay for me to do. But I started with the canned stuff, the jar stuff from the store. And then I got into making it, and I could tell in like almost an instant difference within several days. Like if I didn't eat just a tablespoon a day, I could tell a difference. Like I just was really gassy in my digestive system. So that was one, fermented foods. And then eventually kefir, which was helpful for my mood and for sleeping, I could tell. And then also I learned that foods like organ meats, that is so nutrient packed that it can totally transform your gut and then positively impact all kinds of health issues. Sure. So I added that in, and like ground heart was an easier one for me to do. And then some capsules eventually. I tried liver, and I've done that a little bit, but it's not my favorite.
I know, not mine either. I'd rather take the capsule. Yes. But I've heard the heart. Do you grind it and put it in your ground beef? How do you do that?
I really try to buy it ground. I've only bought it ground. There's a butcher not far from me that sells it ground. And then I use that in many like tacos or spaghetti or these little pockets, meat pockets that I make so I can even hide it for my kids, which is nice because it's so good for them and they don't know about it. Yeah. So those were a couple things. And then just certain vitamins that I found that I was missing. Like I didn't realize just the B vitamins and selenium and zinc and how those can be that we're just so many of us, magnesium is another one that we're just so depleted. And
that's huge, magnesium.
So those are so important for autoimmune.
Yeah. Right. So you tweaked your foods and added the fermented foods and kefir and the organ meats. And then you came to us and we did some more testing and tweaked a couple more things physically. But where do you feel, because I don't think it was the physical stuff that we did. Do you want to talk? I think your, results really came from somewhere else. So do you want to dig in a little? I mean, obviously the physical stuff does help. Don't get me wrong. And that's important. but really what was God showing you?
Okay, sure. Yeah, because that's the most, I mean, the food, and I feel so much better. So I thank you guys for that. I mean, I'm not getting sick as easy, and my energy is back. And so I just feel good. I don't feel so depleted. But definitely the emotional and spiritual changes have been an even bigger blessing, because it's just shown me that I think an underlying reason for my Hashimoto's and other health things was stress. And what I've kind of come to realize was just being so hurried inside. I've heard this phrase, hurry sickness, that just really kind of encompasses how I was, because I had been working full time and juggling 5 kids, often with them at work with me over the years since they were little, and then starting to homeschool. And so it just was busy. It was like from the time, and I would get up early, crazy early, at certain times to just get things done before they would wake up, and then feel like every minute of the day just had to be packed. And so over that time, God just started talking to me about savoring life, which is a food business that I've been working on a little bit in my time now, but to slow down and to figure out how to rest in him. And so I didn't really know how to do it. And then as I went to the retreat last year and started to talk to you girls, I just have been drawing closer to God, and you've given me more tools to help regulate my nervous system and kind of clear the emotions. I think what was underneath the hurry sickness was things that I had just been stuffing down for, decades of my life, just not handling emotions, like feeling like I was not enough, and loneliness, or just never knowing how to process feelings. And you guys have just given me the tools to work on that. And then just having a deeper desire through that to know God and to let him kind of lead the way for me, instead of trying to figure things out myself, but kind of follow him. But really, the tools you guys have given me have been just invaluable.
Oh, we're so glad. Really, they're of him. He leads us right on these journeys to, of course, help other women. But I think, Kari and I have talked about in other podcasts too. It's just the awareness, right?
Yeah.
And those things that you're talking about, Kendra, the hurried sickness. Obviously, those are, and not able to process emotions. Those are not unique to you, Kendra. Those are for sure 100% things that I think a lot of women, if not 99% of women, are probably dealing with on, a day-to-day basis, is that they're trying to get everything done. They're trying to juggle work and kids and family life. And, they're squeezing it all in and relying on themselves. And I think just the awareness that, we do need to slow down, and that we can slow down, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of women that will tell me, like, well, how can I slow down? Right.
Yes.
And I think, and Kendra, maybe you can speak to this too, especially with, 5 kids, that, God gives you that margin if you let go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy it's hard to fathom how it's really true that, like, I have found that I need to surrender and abide, but for years now, I've known that, but I'm like, how do you do it? And so it's just been in the last 6 months. And how do I rest? Right. So the last 6 months, he's been showing me in this verse. I'm going to share it if you don't mind, because it has been really impactful in the last months or so, especially. 2 Corinthians 3:5-6 says, not that we are competent in ourselves to claim anything for ourselves, but our competence comes from God. He made us competent as ministers of a new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. So I just, it hit me when I heard that I had been trying to be self-sufficient instead of really following God. And even more, that as I was doing it, I was trying to do what was right, or kind of the legalistic law-filled ways. Sure. But that part on the Spirit just really hit me recently, because it says the Spirit gives life. And that's what he's been talking to me for several years now. Life, like abundant life. But I didn't know how to get there. And so when I read that verse in a new way, it's like you always hear it, right? But it just finally kind of hit me. And like I was able to internalize it.
Sure.
That if you really walk with the Spirit and try to listen, and I still have such up and down days, but when I really do that well, then things just kind of fall into place. It's almost like, well, I definitely have a better peace, but it's almost like I get more even done in a way that is hard to explain. But I have the time, like the margin that you said, to not even respond better to my kids, but to stop and play with them, like play this game, Mom, or read this book. Like I can do those things in the midst of still the other things that are on my list, if I'm kind of following my list along, if it's Spirit led, more
sure.
just the list in my head that I'm saying, you've got to get this done and run yourself ragged all day until you climb into bed. Because it's a whole different way to live. And it is peaceful. It's more the abundant life that I know he's been telling me. And there's even time for rest. I mean, one of the things I've loved from you guys is like the detox baths, which forced me to take some minutes.
Sure. To do nothing, right?
Yeah, generally later in the day. I mean, I would get up early to fit in quiet time and Bible time, but to take breaks through the day, like go and get some grounding time, walk midday light, let's say midday light. So, and then a detox bath. So it's just like times through the day with him and some rest built throughout the day that help me be better grounded and are just more restful. And it's like when I'm following him in the Spirit, you can fit it in a way that I just wasn't before.
Sure. Yeah. It's not the hurry up and rest. We have to hurry up and rest. Okay. And then get back to our day. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Or not. Yeah. Just finish the whole day. But yeah, just being present throughout the whole day with him.
Yeah.
And taking those breaks. Yeah. And like you said, it's like you're even getting more done now. Correct.
Yeah. In a different way, or maybe not more always, but what feels like it matters. Like he's just slowing me down to do what is on his list. And then that brings more peace, even to me, of like, I'm not maybe always doing as much, but I wasn't meant to.
Right. Yeah. Right. Which is which then created a shift in your health.
Yes, I think so. I mean, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see like my next coming up test with you to see if you can tell more has changed. But I definitely feel better inside.
Yeah, which is the important thing, right? I mean, the labs are good to see, and it's always great to see those, but it's really about how you feel and how you function every day, really.
Yeah.
Which, that's why I really wanted you to tell your story, Kendra, because I think so many women, including myself, hold on sometimes so tight to our own agenda or getting things done. And your story was so beautiful, and that it was just, you could just tell, there was kind of a light bulb that went off. It was just like you were called to rest, you were called to slow down. And it was just like, something awoken. You were like, oh, right, this is the way we're supposed to live, right?
Yeah.
And for me, the same thing. I remember when Kari told me to take that time off, it was like, oh, wow. Like, you really don't need to do half the amount of things that we're doing, right?
Yeah, definitely. And like the last couple podcasts, you talk about control or letting go. Like those are all pieces that are such a part of it. I do really know more now. I've learned and agree it's not just me. That's a lie. And I believed all these lies for so long that, I mean, you're not good enough, or you've got to hustle harder. That's the way to fix things. And just like you have to control and do everything your way. But it's just, those are all the lies that the world and enemy wants to keep you in. And when you really kind of yield to God's way and let him truly kind of lead you, it's just a whole different way.
It is a whole different way. So tell us, this is kind of exciting. What's God is leading to you. I know it's a passion for you, and you can definitely, it's beautiful to see how he's leading you now.
Yeah, I'm really still praying about it. But over the years, he's planted this seed. Like it was after my fourth child when I had a meal train from some friends at church and school. And so they brought us meals, and my oldest was probably like 7 or 8 then. And we said, wouldn't it be fun if we could make meals for people so that in times of sickness or times of having another child, that you could, instead of just getting like another baby onesie, somebody that is close to you could gift you like a week's meals or something so that they're in the freezer. And when you have a baby, you just have things ready to pull out of the freezer and eat. So that kind of planted the seed for, oh, I'd love, that would be so fun to do. And so I just like over the years, as I've learned more about eating better, I really transformed into healthy options, because when I go out, it's hard to find things, snacks, even at just like any little store. It's getting better though. It's getting a lot better. Yeah. But things without processed ingredients or dyes or all the scientific things you can't pronounce. So I've just got into wanting to make healthy options for people who, for health reasons or just because, want to have things made for them if they can't cook or don't want to. And so we live in an old farmhouse, and for the last couple of years, my husband helped me remodel. There was a second kitchen. And so we remodeled that to make it into a licensed kitchen so that I can legally make and sell meals and snacks, most things, to people around me. And so right now I'm just I'm dabbling in it. I've done salads for last season. I'd like to get into frozen foods, which is what I'm praying about now. Like, how much does God really want me to do versus be with the kids in this season? But since it's at my house and my older girls are interested, we may get into some frozen meals and just slowly progress. But I've also been working on some like e-tools, so electronic tools to share while I feel a little like I have less time to produce food. Maybe I can share what I've learned just to people electronically. So if
Absolutely. So valuable.
They want to eat better, these are some of my tips to help you either heal from whatever, or just practical tips that you can do with your family or just by yourself even. So I have a few of those on my website. And it's
yeah, we'll share the link to those if people would like access to those, where they can find those. We'll share those in the show notes. It's so exciting, Kendra. I know I am inspired by just, your passion for food and healing, how you've used it to heal, but also just watching your journey. Just thank you for letting us be a part of it, and just for your time today and sharing too. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I just, again, I have to say thank you to you both, because I love your podcast. It's really like a fun part of my week to listen to. And God's been telling me you need to do more fun things. So
here you are.
It's fun. I like to listen, and you've been so helpful.
Thanks, Kendra. Well, till next time, everybody, take care. Talk soon.